Welcome in, everybody, to the Summit City Sports Report number 37 with head football coach Jason Garrett from Bishop Dwenger. Coach Garrett's team opened up postseason play this past Friday, hosting Columbia City, pulling off a 38-0 win against the Eagles. Columbia City coming into the game ranked number 5 in Class 4A. And, Coach, that was a very, very impressive win. The points came early and often for your team. But just talk about last Friday and how pleased you were with the Saints' performance.
Yeah, so happy for the guys. Very, very pleased. Getting off to a fast start like that, I think was an important part, a big part of the way the evening went. Guys just grew in confidence in all three facets, really. So I think just talking with the guys again tonight, so blessed that we're getting healthier as we go, and we put all three facets together on Friday night. So they got a chance to kind of see how good they can be. It helped us grow in confidence for sure, and hopefully we keep building on that.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, right out the gate. I mean, outstanding big hit. I'm sorry. On the first one, it looked like a fumbled snap. There's a lot of traffic in front of me, but Pelkington came in there as Bradbury was trying to pick it up and absolutely toss him to the ground, which then let as Peter Thiel and I think another player back there to recover that. It was almost a combo recover, and then that set up 1st and goal right off the jump, and you went with Dougie Henry as the tailback on that. Hadn't seen that yet. And he punched it in. Was that the plan coming in? Was to give Dougie some touches there in the goal line situation?
Yeah, it was. It was part of the plan. He's ran a little bit of Wildcat for us back when we were fully healthy in our heavy set. He was a part of that. Still is a part of the heavy set. He's a downhill guy. We talked about him. He's a rugby guy. We felt like, he gives us a good chance to run downhill, and, Chef and Pipe and Fabini are such good blockers, good runners too, but you put those guys together kind of in that heavy set. So that was part of the plan. The big first play was Andrew Tryon at nose. Again, finally healthy.
Yep.
And, did a great job kind of, opening up the middle there and was a part of that turnover. And then, went to that plan a little earlier than maybe we anticipated, but to get the ball in the 2 or the 3 or whatever it was, we thought it was a good opportunity to go ahead and roll with it.
Yeah, as Jeff's playing the clip right there, Tryon absolutely blew up his blocker. I mean, he was 3 yards in the backfield almost before the snap happened. I mean, that was what a push. And we saw him. I mean, you talked about him and his health and getting back in it. There was another touchdown later in the game where he had a little push in the back, a little Reggie Bush push there type of situation. When you got the big fellow, the big ginger back healthy, I mean, he is a difference maker on that offensive line. You're pulling him. He can move really good for a big fella.
Yeah, you said that, not me. So, yeah.
He can take me if you'd like.
For us, and, we've talked about this, and, again, he had a kind of an unfortunate situation arise, a little bit before the half at Moeller, and, just kind of getting him back in the groove and getting him back in shape. And he reminds us a lot of Joe Tippmann, the things that he allows us to do, and there's still more to come, obviously, just trying to get him back reconnected and getting that line back in sync. And he's obviously a vital piece of that. And then, his willingness to go at nose, we knew we needed him there, to try to affect their run game, and he was willing and able. And as you see there on the first play, had a big part in that turnover.
Yeah, and then the very ensuing kickoff. Well, the game started with the Lucas Wynn touchback. The second kickoff, which he was 4 of 6, I believe, on his kickoffs and touchbacks, which is so impressive. But that second one, you could tell that Stratton Fuller, he wanted to return one. It was right at like the 1-inch line. He almost forced the return on himself, and he came out of the barrel right there really quickly. And once again, your special teams just making absolute plays, the strip, the recover, Next thing you know, you're right in distance again to score early within the first minute and a half. That, that special teams and that coverage. I guess first talk about the advantage of having Lucas win with being able to have no return game a lot, and then like this having a forced return basically because they want to have a chance to make a play, which led to the mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, it's just a huge weapon. I don't know the exact numbers, but he's up there in 70% touchdown, which is just a huge, huge weapon. And we won the toss, and we were back and forth. Do we take the ball and try to get an extra possession? And we felt confident in our defense, but also knowing that they had and they have a tremendous offense. So we know that Lucas can put it in the end zone, so that was a big part of that decision. And then then you got Pelk and Ellinger down on the hit, and neither one of them knows who caused the fumble. They both humble it. They don't know. They both got big hits, and we don't know who caused it. So we gave it to Ellinger since he's younger, and Pelk was okay with that. But yeah, I mean, the thing we got to keep challenging is when he doesn't put it in the end zone, we got to make sure our coverage is good, and that's why we're blessed to have guys like Pelk and Ellie and other guys from our defense that are down there rallying to the ball. So.
Yeah, I mean, and then boom, boom. I mean, 14-0. The sideline, you could just feel the excitement, not only with the players but with the coaches and your coaching staff on that sideline. No one expected that type of situation to happen. And then, well, maybe you guys did, but us lay people did not. But and then you score, you get the ball back, you score a third time. I mean, within a blink of an eye, it was 21-0. How confident were the kids after the way that game started? It seemed like that kind of propelled the Saints the rest of the way.
Yeah, there's the old scripture passage, Old Testament, New Testament, talks about waiting for the rain. And, it was a long time coming. I think what ended up being seen and the excitement and the confidence and just the energy, the physicality was just been a long time coming. It's, since week 2, having everybody back together, or most everybody back together, and being healthy and knowing what we're capable of. And, they've all had to deal with a lot of different things, right? Things said and that regard, and doubts. And I think getting started that way, and then, just kind of brought it all to fruition. A lot of thanks be to God, right? We tell the guys, hang in there, hang in there, wait for rain, keep praying. We're getting healthier. You guys are a great team. And, God allowed it to happen all there in a matter of, about 15, 20 minutes. It just kind of was an explosion of goodness. And our guys, needed it. And it was a blessing to see. I just got to stand there and kind of watch it. And, just the confidence, the joy, the brotherhood, kind of like, carrying the cross for, 8-10 weeks, and then, getting a break and getting a good cold glass of water and a sandwich, it was needed for us to have success that way.
Yeah. So, I mean, complete domination with the defense. They did an outstanding job. Gus Tippmann ran the ball really well. Shefferly, that punch up the middle on those lead dives with the fullback. I mean, it's darn near unstoppable with the push of your line and then the strength of Shefferly. You guys came out in the second half, went to a spread. Was that just to try to show them something a little bit different, or looking towards the future? What was the mindset there?
Yeah, it's just a different look. We had ran some of that empty look in the past. We anticipate, sometimes you anticipate, sometimes you over anticipate, what are they going to do to adjust? Is there a different look we can give them? They went with a heavier, set in the box. They brought in some heavier linemen. And then, we went to it. It wasn't real successful. They did a nice job, covering the edges and they adjusted well. I think we had one series in it, and then we went right back to, what we had been doing. They, other than the big bodies inside, I think, that was one of their biggest, elements of adjustment. So we knew we could go back to what we had been doing. So, when you put a game plan together, at least for us, we're trying to A, B, C, D, E, and F, and so something that we hadn't done, wanted to see how they would adjust to it, how well we'd run it. So that was it. I mean, sometimes you're just trying to, give a different look. You're
Sure.
trying to anticipate what they might do. If they went heavier in the box and maybe, change their 4-3 look, then it might have been better for us to get in the alleys, but it wasn't. So we went back to what was working.
Well, and it was a good thing because then on fourth down, I mean, just perfect execution on that fake punt. Special teams coach and Todd Ellinger and Coach Swigert and them, they do an outstanding job with the special teams. And that look right there, is that on Ellinger to make the call on that? If the defense doesn't have a gunner on one of those wideouts, and you also set up with that trips on the one side, is that basically to let Ellinger be able to see what's in front of him to be able to make that call?
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, Coach Ellinger, Coach Swigert, I mean, this year, Coach Stegmeyer, our special teams is dynamic. It has become a weapon. It's not just Lucas Wynn putting
Right.
it in the end zone and kicking long field goals. I mean, it is a threat. And, much like our PAT and field goal, the adjusting to the old quote unquote toughie special, they put a lot of work in. We afford that time because we know it's a weapon, and it proved to be in this case. And then a hats off to our guys. That's a call that they are given. It doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. They have the freedom to go with it. I'll take the emails and take the whatever that comes when it doesn't work,
Right.
and I'll blame it on myself. But it's on them. And there you are, heat of the moment, a junior and a sophomore for a 30-yard completion down the sideline, and just kept the momentum. And just another piece of everything kind of coming together for us last week.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see that in the high school level, something executed that well very often. I mean, that was pretty tremendous to see. And it basically, kind of stepped the throat where Columbia City was thinking, hey, we're getting them on a 3 and out. We may get some momentum here. We put it in the end zone. We're looking at a different game. So that was probably one of the biggest plays. Of course, the first two openers were the biggest to set the tone. But that one right there really kind of shut down the Columbia City sideline. They're like, oh no, we may not be able to get back into this game. I think that was huge.
Yeah, amen. Right. It's and then special teams are always that way, good and bad, right?
Right.
Nothing changes the tone of a game more than a special teams play. I think that anybody would say that, right? I mean, it goes against you or goes for you. It's a lot of momentum for sure. So I'm just so proud of our coaches, but at the end of the day, it's our players buying in, and couldn't be happier for them. At the end of the day, just there it is. You got it. You've been trained. You've been taught, and in one of the big moments, a go win or go home kind of a situation, you're confident enough to do it and execute it well. So hats off to those guys.
Yeah, and it's Saul O'Keefe running the ball, a couple times with some lead blocks and some pulls. I think it was on that same drive after that fake punt where that kind of naked bootleg where he does just a little stutter step that got himself more space. I think he got it in within the 5-yard line. I thought he played a really heady game, didn't force anything, had the nice pass to Jace, but running the ball, that looks like a really good weapon here moving on in the future and into these playoffs. Yeah,
I think if there's an area of confidence from last Friday that grew the most, I would say it's obviously our offense as a collective whole, but then for Nick, I told him, I said, I don't think you could have managed that game any better. I mean, even the clock management towards the end, he had total command. When things weren't open, things we had talked about from I think we talked on the show last time, just the willingness to tuck it if it's not there, and get the clicker in his head, 1, 2, and let it rip or go kind of a thing. And there were some big moments where he did that. And I said, you move the chains, you put us in ahead of the chains, and just by doing those small things, it really has a huge impact on the game. And brings confidence to the huddle. Our guys are growing in confidence with him, and we just very, very happy with it right now.
Yeah, and the other sophomore just outstanding. I mean, Cooper Campbell, I don't think we've talked about him enough. What an outstanding game defensively he had. Of course, caught that ball for the first down on the fake punt. But coming off that edge, when you have him and Ellinger coming off those edges right there, linebackers, especially against that run heavy offense of Columbia City, what they impressed me so much was sometimes there's two blockers out there on the pole, and they're not even getting a piece of your linebackers. Campbell did it several times with just avoiding blocks and getting a tackle in there. How much has that gone over in practice with being able to create the angles on those blockers to be able to not get touched and still have the angle for a tackle?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up our number one point of emphasis in the offseason. That was tackling, especially in the open field. And, as we talked last time, I mean, last Friday, we needed Houston and Cooper to play very, very well in the alleys. And not only was it the tackling, but just the discipline on their counters, and things like that we knew they would try to do. And they stayed at home. And then being able to make those open field tackles against, sometimes it's guys that are maybe a little faster, a little more athletic, they just did a phenomenal job. When I talked last time, I said they had to play great, and they did. Hats off to, again, Coach Nepper and Coach Wilkins, on the defensive side. Every week we spend 15, 20, sometimes longer, 30 minutes on what we call the tackle box. And it's angles, it's form and fit. It's one of the most fundamental, blocking and tackling in football. If you can do those two things well, you always got a chance no matter what you got. And that was our number one point of emphasis. And so far, we've done a really good job this year. And that's to the point of our coaches and guys buying in and, just get them to the ground, right? I mean, get on them, hang on them. Help is coming. We play against a lot of athletes that are faster and things. It's been good so far.
And then that goal line stance, that first and goal from the 4-yard line. Jeff and I talked about it on the phone after, because I was so impressed with Piper and filling that hole. You read, react, tackle. He did that so well, where Columbia City, they had the blocking in the lane open for Parrish, but Piper filled it 2 times in a row, made 2 outstanding tackles, and then that forced that pass there on the turnover on downs, where Cooper dropped back into coverage on the deflection. But talk about Casey Piper and him filling that hole there on that goal line stance twice in a row.
Well, I can't say enough good things about him. And, I get to be with him during baseball season too. He's kind of been our Swiss Army knife. He's wore number 15 and he's wore number 55 this year. I mean, he's played offensive guard. He's played nose guard. He plays tight end, plays middle linebacker. I think there was a week we had him at defensive end. And then he's also been looked at outside backer. And, we needed him on Friday to play the mic. And, Pete was a little gimpy, Pete Thiel. And so, lo and behold, there we are on the goal line. There's KC. He's had every rep about every position in the last, 8-10 weeks. And, we knew in some of that scheme, he was kind of that open field tackle in the middle, and 2 touchdown saving tackles on his own. So, that's a credit to a young man that's hung in there, wore different jerseys. He's a yes coach, no coach kind of a guy. He's willing to do whatever for the team. And, he's got a little stink to him, as we say. He's a foxhole guy. We love him. And it was a big moment for him, and 2 touchdown saving tackles in a big moment. Again, keeping the momentum on our side.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. I mean, that pretty much, led you into that 21-0 halftime. It could have been a whole different look coming out in that third quarter. You guys did receive the ball, but that could have been a whole different feel. Columbia City getting some confidence there. That was one of the biggest stops I've seen all year from a defense. Yeah. And then lastly on this past Friday's game, before we move forward, Gus Tittman, I don't think is talked about enough as well, with the power that you guys show with Sheffley and that. But what a great change of pace that Gus brings to your offense. And I think he ran the ball about as well as he did all season against Columbia City's stout defense this past Friday night. He creates some angles, and it seems like he sees the holes very well, Coach.
Yeah, I think he would be the first to say, it's makes it easier when you get the type of push we had Friday night. We hope we can keep that going. But, it goes back to days when I was working with Coach Schwarzkopf and things, and we'd play Chittard. And Chittard's always got that kind of Gus Tittman kind of tailback. And, he's just got that – it's kind of that joystick. He's just shifty. He's hard to find, low to the ground, always falling forward. He's just that prototypical tailback for us. And, you mentioned it. It's kind of a good mix with, sometimes Chef back there and sometimes Knipscher back there, Dougie, different looks, more downhill kind of a focus, and then bring him in. And now he's hitting the hole a little differently, maybe finding some seams that the bigger guys just crash into. And, it's been great. And, he's another guy. I mean, in the return game, if they don't kick it to Brady, Gus is the one getting it. He's had a great year there. We got him even out in the slot a little bit. He's a little sneaky fast. He's kind of got that twitchiness that you don't expect from just his height. But he's got a massive heart, great kid. He's a weapon back there for sure.
Coach.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, Coach, obviously this offense is a tricky one to prepare for and to go against when you don't see it week in, week out. Who are some of the scout team guys for you that really did a great job of executing the Columbia City offense and getting your defense ready for this game?
Yeah, you caught me. We did scout team players of the week. Let me grab it. One sec.
Yes, sir.
Got a nice.
Yeah, we normally give 2 scout team players of the week. Both we congratulate all of them last Thursday. We thanked all of them, had them all stand up because we knew we had gotten the best look we could get. But Logan Parrish, Joey Knipscher, Moxon Seckel, and then Bogenschutz. So Moxon Seckel and Bogenschutz gave us a really good defensive look, and then Logan Parrish and Joey Knipscher were doing a great job. And then we got Tommy Kaufman, running the quarterback for us, and all of that. And goes without saying the offensive line, but those guys in particular, as you look at preparing for the offense, it was Logan Parrish and Joseph Knipscher. They had the speed. They kind of got that moxie, that grit. They remind us a lot of, 7 last week and 3 and 22 and coming downhill. We had Perkins kind of coming downhill as a fullback for us, simulating 34 and 22. So, we call those guys parachute packers, and we give out shirts every week. The old story, I'll be brief, but, it goes back to an old colonel and whatever. He's at dinner with his wife, and this guy keeps looking at him. And finally, a guy walks over and he says, "You're Colonel so-and-so or General so-and-so." "Yeah, how'd you know that?" He said, "Well, you were shot down and so-and-so, and you ended up surviving." "Yeah, how'd you know that? Who are you?" He said, "Well," and he gave him his name. He said, "And I packed your parachute."
Wow.
And so that's kind of, Coach Ellinger brought that story to us, and now we got shirts. And so, it's important that you get a good scout look, even in a most challenging, last week, and then, arguably this week as challenging or more challenging, to get guys to buy in late in the season like this and just, go all out for us. So we recognize them as much as possible. But those were guys. I appreciate you asking. Those are guys from last week.
Appreciate that, Coach. Yeah, talk about Wayne. Last 2 years, you haven't played him in the regular season. Last year, you opened up with them in the postseason. This year, you get him in week number 2. But what are you seeing from Wayne? You talk about it, they're hard to kind of mimic the quarterback. The quarterback's one of the top-rated players in the state, and Harold Mack. So what are you guys seeing from Wayne right away?
Well, it's last week was sleepless. This week might be more sleepless. And I'll start with this. We've been telling 10 starters on offense are seniors, and 10 starters on defense are seniors. As an opposing coach and team, that says just about everything you need to know. You better get ready. so start with that, and then I mean, you got 4, you got 10, you got 9. You got their line is really, I think, more technical than I can remember. They seem to be able to get in good position in their blocking with the scheme they're running. They can not only kind of bring you in and kind of that option look, kind of that, what we've been used to from last week. They can also spread it out. And then, Mac gets loose and we're in big trouble. So, back to a lot of similar, discussions this week about discipline, being right. We got to tackle. We just, we got to prevent the big plays. 10 is dangerous. 4 is dangerous. 9 is dangerous. 3 is dangerous. I mean, it just goes without saying. I mean, the list of Division I athletes is pretty daggone long. So we got our work cut out for us, and all the respect in the world for Coach. Part of it is you're preparing, and then he's so creative. He's been around so long. You really don't always know exactly what you're going to get. We know he can vary some things and move some guys around. So we got a tremendous challenge ahead of us. It's the toughest, I believe, it's the toughest week of the postseason. Not only to get ready, but to stay mentally locked in, physically locked in, and now we got one of the greatest opponents we've had all season. So.
Yeah, and you haven't seen them yet this year. It's a rare time. Normally, before they went to big AB division, I guess we'll just call it here in the SAC. You guys always open up the season with Wayne. So now you get to wait for them till week 11 when they're all dialed in. It sounds like Kamar Nelson, their outstanding edge rusher, will run the ball as well. Sounds like he's going to be healthy. We'll ask Coach Haydock. We talked to him after you tonight. But what have you seen out of? Did you see any film with Kamar? He hasn't played the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's film, and obviously from last year too. So I mean,
yeah,
he's back there. He's dangerous. He's physical. If you're just talking offense, good Lord, I mean, that's the thunder and the lightning and everything else back there that we have to prepare for. And then you flip him to the defensive side, coming off the edge, filling, BC gaps and coming off the edge. All eyes go to him. There's no doubt. And so, we fully expect, we're preparing. He will be 100%. We had tremendous challenge with him a year ago, and now he's a year better. So we're just gonna keep praying, and our guys are ready for a war.
And what have you seen on film with their big tight end, Trey Dillard, who moved, first year playing football, is outstanding basketball player, really good size for a tight end. What jumped out at you on film watching him?
Yeah, I mean, it gives him that physicality on the edge, right? He can seal the edge when they're trying to get 10 or 4 to the edge, or running number 9. So that's he's a big physical presence, and then where they're, I mean, I don't want to say most dangerous because they're dangerous in every way, but one of the most dangerous areas that they can hurt you in is the play action. 10 up the seam and 11 across the field, and if your eyes aren't right, and you're peeking or you're trying to stop the run, or your eyes are on 9 on a play action, 10 or 11 is going to hurt you. And 11 goes across the field. He's a big body, catches it well, and then if he gets the ball in his hands, he can take it to the house. So we just got to be right, last week was a big discipline week, and this is the same. It's controlled aggression and discipline and locked in, and they just seem to carry a little bit more big play advantage. They can hurt you in a lot of ways.
Coach, you talked about Coach Haydock. He has been around for a while. You yourself in your 7th year at the school, but do you have a favorite Sherwood Haydock story? Any kind of advice that maybe he's given you? Anything fun like that?
I've heard some stories, firsthand stories. I feel like, I guess all I would say is, like, I highly respect him. He went through some health issues and things, and he and I have, I think, grown to have a little bit of a friendship as much as you can. Just seeing each other once a year or whatever it may be, or twice with meetings, and So I have all the respect in the world for him. I've heard a lot of funny stories and good stories, and obviously respect him highly. So yeah, I mean, I think we had a coin toss a couple years ago. Might have been a sectional somewhere in there where it was kind of one of those defers, take the ball, and something was said, and then he's like, "Wait a minute, you don't get to choose the kick," or something like that, and like I was trying to pull one over on him, but it was just kind of just when you think he's not paying attention, or you get that quick wit from him, and I'm just glad he's healthy and overcame the health issues that he had in the past. So now I look forward to seeing him, and all the respect in the world to him.
Coach, we were counting it up. Last time Dwenger lost to Wayne, 2014. I think it might be 13 straight victories against the Generals. Do you have to remind the guys how tough this team is, or not? You don't have to really say anything. They're gearing up just like they would any other week.
Well, it's a great, and like I said, it's week 2, and we preach, respect for them. We have talked about their, I mean, I don't ever remember, as long as I've been coaching, I don't ever remember coaching or seeing it with, 20 starters are seniors. I mean, It's just,
right.
And then some of their second level guys are seniors. So, just like tonight, we told our guys, confidence, not overconfidence, respect. We want to spend another week together. Expect a war. Don't expect early turnovers and early touchdowns. It's going to be a 4-quarter, maybe overtime. It always is with these guys. They'll come ready to play. Yeah, we do our best. I think our guys have been through enough adversity this year that they certainly respect these guys, and we'll come ready to play.
Yeah, with that feeling coming back for you, it sounds like they're just not taking anything for granted, Coach. Everything's going to be earned. Nothing's going to be taken for granted. We got to go earn it on the field each and every Friday.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we've said it that way in a lot of different ways. You hit the nail on the head there, so yeah, we're preaching it. Our guys are, they're on huddle, they're studying. Today was a really good practice. You just can't simulate the speed. You can't simulate the physicality. You can't simulate the broken plays that then go 70 yards. But, we're going to continue to do what we've been doing, keep it simple, do their job, love each other, play physical and fast, and we'll see how things shake out.
Coach, you guys have pretty much been underdogs in every single game all year. Maybe there's 2 games where you cannot say that, but do you see a confidence shift or anything with your team heading into this week, where I believe the Saints are going to be favorites in this game?
Well, one thing we've definitely, I think we, just as a culture, we really try to, no offense to you guys or anybody else, but we, as a staff and really as a team, as much as you can, try to stay away from, the polls and the, who's picked and favorites and all those kinds of things. I mean, that's a consistent message. I think that's what we try to live here. Is it's about us. How can we get better? What do we have to do? Don't get caught up in the ebbs and flows and the emotions, good or bad. That's been the message. I certainly think confidence has grown. You can preach it all you want, but then for them to be able to experience it and live it out against a tremendous opponent last week, the confidence certainly has grown. You keep preaching the rain's coming, and you are a good team. We've had tremendous adversity. We've had a lot of injuries. We're a good team. You keep saying it, and then they got to see it, a little taste of it last week, and I think they want to keep tasting what they tasted last Friday night. And I hope that's what propels us to be ready and not be overconfident and not look ahead. This is week 2. They call it upset week for a reason, whether it's Wayne or us, any team.
Right.
Looking ahead, you put yourself in trouble. This is the toughest week by far in the postseason. So we're hoping our mental toughness is there, and if it is, and we know they'll be ready. It should be an absolute war.
Yeah, Coach, my last question leading in here, Is there a key? What is the key? What level of the defense is it? Is it assignment type football? What's the key for your defense to be successful against this offense?
I think it's assignment for sure, and it's a lot of things is identifying where their guys are. Right. We've talked all week. You have to know where 10 is. We know where 4 is. You have to know where 10 is. You got to know where 81 is. 81, I believe. Dillard. That might be wrong. That's 81. Yeah. You got to know where he's at. Obviously, if you no, it's 11. Sorry, Dillard, and then you got, and obviously 9's there, 10, 3. We got to know where they're at, and they move them around a little bit. So they're trying to get 10 in space. They want to keep the ball in 4's hands when they can. Obviously, 9's in there. He's going to be coming downhill. They sneak 22 out of the backfield in the fullback position. So you're absolutely right. It's assignment football, locked in, and one wrong set of eyes, and it's 7 points.
Right.
That's what makes them so daggone dangerous is just the athleticism, the creativity, Coach Haydock, and the play calling, and you just got to be right. You got to be right. So that's what we've been preaching all week: discipline, and like we said last week, it's hard to manage and navigate being disciplined and maintaining your physicality and your quickness. And so last week was good preparation, but it's got to be better.
Well, Coach, we wish you all the best this Friday. Saints taking on Wayne High School at Wayne, 7 p.m. kickoff in the semifinal round. Winner moves on to the championship of the sectional. So I know that would be extremely exciting for you and your team, Coach. Coach Jason Garrett won a state championship in 2018 with the Saints here in his 7th season. So thanks, Coach, and good luck.
I always appreciate you guys. Thanks again.
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
So head coach Jason Garrett, and Tim, I know we got a couple of minutes here, but
yeah,
it's tough. You haven't seen Kemar the last 2 weeks. He really didn't play much of the second half against Northside either. So are you just going to get this renewed Kemar Nelson, who we talk about all year, offensive production and defensive production? Maybe nobody has done more for their team than Kemar Nelson has on both sides of the ball. And so now he's going to come back. He's 100% going to be healthy is what it's sounding like.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, obviously. I mean, he's a D1 caliber type of player. We've all talked about, how under-recruited he has been. Started to pick up here later in the season, but Coach mentioned it. He's a game changer, not only with the offset of him and Stallings there running the ball and that sort of thing, and sharing on some jet sweeps and that sort of deal. But him coming off the edge, you 9 times out of 10, one blocker isn't going to be able to handle Kemar Nelson. He's so strong, and he just has a nose to get to the quarterback. So yeah, that's huge. I think if they can, if you can eliminate his big type of plays, the big sacks, maybe the forced fumbles, you put yourself in a good position. But boy, is that easier said than done against Kemar.
With Wayne, normally they like to pack the box on offense and just pound you between the tackles. Do you think that will work for the Generals against this defense?
In one word, no. I mean, we've seen it. Just saw it last week. It could have been a different game without the fumbles that started off. But even when, Columbia City was still going with their normal game plan down 14-0, they were still pounding the ball. And they did not have a lot of room, Jeff. And talking about when they tried to go outside, they had some success with Parrish up the middle later in the game, running the ball for Columbia City. But anything back outside, you're losing yards. You're coming out with 2 blockers, and one linebacker is wiggling through those blocks to make the tackle. So, it's extremely hard to go outside on Wayne. Even with the speed and the athleticism that we saw with Northside, which you could probably compare the easiest to with Wayne and getting on that edge. But I think they're going to have to be able to run and pound it a little bit for Wayne to be successful. But I think Harold Mack's going to have a solid game passing the ball. You know, he doesn't have to throw it 18, 20 times, in my opinion. You know, I think he can throw it 8 to 10, getting the defense a little bit, you know, on their heels to maybe open things up in that run game. So this is an intriguing matchup. It's rare that we haven't seen Wayne and Dwenger play in a season yet. I've done a million of those openers in the SAC with those two squads over the past decade now. That, you know, this is, you know, it's always hype leading into that season. Now it's super hype leading into week 2 of sectional number 19 with the chance to move on to play an East Noble or a Leo squad in that sectional 19 championship. Everything's going to be on the table for both teams this Friday night. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we're going to shut this one down, Tim, and we'll have the next one at 7:45 with Coach Haydock. That'll be on a different YouTube link, which is on our X handle. So thanks, everybody. We'll be back with you in a minute.
Thanks, everyone.